Fuso starting grid. Let's have a look at the way they line up now for race number 16 from the pole position. Again, Jamie Whincup, Red Bull Racing Australia. Fabian Coulthard, great job in the last race, but still being investigated. Then it's Garth Tander, best qualifying performance for him this weekend, and he will be alongside Jason Bright with good tyre quality. Rick Kelly is next in the order. He's had his battles this weekend. David Wallace done a good job in qualifying for this one. Then Jonathan Webb, Shane Van Gisbergen and the teammates, Michael Caruso and Mark Winterbottom. He was unlucky in the last race. And followed by Scotty McLaughlin and Craig Lowndes. He completely missed the jump for this one. Remember, he had the big understeer moment at turn 19. That cost him dearly.
Work our way through midfield. We've got a Nissan and a Commodore side by side for 15 and 16. Todd Kelly, Tony D'Alberto. There's Alex Davison and James Courtney. Alex hasn't had a particularly good run here. He's been in the mix, but qualifying has hurt. Chaz Mostert will be seated alongside the enforcer, Russell Ingall. James Moffat starting from 22nd. You just saw Team Bottolo with Scott Pye in 24th. Dean Fiore, Dodo Insurance Racing with Lee Holdsworth. Dino had a great time in the story that you saw out at Memorial Stadium throwing footies around. He's got his young boy here, just 6 months of age, making it a real family affair like so many of our drivers and teams. So 45 degrees track temperature.
And just while you're looking up the details on that one, Matt, that's a drop in track temperature compared to what we saw not so long ago.
113 Fahrenheit.
A lot of best qualifying performances for many of the guys in the field. Garth Tander, his best qualifying for the year in third. Rick Kelly, as we said, best qualifying in fifth. And Michael Caruso, best qualifying in ninth. On board now with Scott McLaughlin. We've got the field covered. So many of the in-car cameras for this final race of the weekend.
And still 5 incidents under investigation relating to the previous race. With the tight turnaround, there's no way judiciary can get through all that information. So there'll be a number of things looked at afterwards, and so keep an eye out on the V8 Supercars website for any updates in relation to that. Just on the subject of inside race control, I might quickly give a shout out to an old friend in there helping the Australian stewards. The third steward this weekend from the IMSA sanctioning body is Tim Mayer. His dad, Teddy, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, was an original founder of the modern McLaren Formula One team with Ron Dennis. Then he was the vice president of Penske Racing Cars. He was also involved in the Carl Haas Formula One Lola project. Now, his brother Tim, same name as the man I'm talking about, was killed at Longford in Tasmania in 1964 in the Tasman series, and still a plaque down there in Tassie in his honour to this very day. So Tim Mayer is helping the Australian stewards in race control at the moment, and an old friend. Great to have him here watching the V8 Supercars.
As you'd expect.
Okay, last car's forming up now.
Everything is high tech. Great crowd. This is such an enormous complex. One of the things that everybody's been asking, have people been coming? You bet they have, in their thousands. All right, this is it, folks. The last one of the Austin 400. Jamie Whincup on pole position against our last race winner of Fabian Coulthard. The VIP car of Shane Van Gisbergen goes in search of some better track on the inside. Side by side around turn 1. Oh, a little crunch in the middle. It affected James Courtney, I reckon.
Bunch of guys who were working unsuccessfully at the task of trying to make V8 Supercars go through their 3 and 4 wide at turn 1.
I thought they were pretty gentlemanly at the front. In the middle of the field, it was pretty wild. But at the front of the field, they gave themselves a lot of racing room and very contained, very measured start for the first 4 cars.
And who's got what tyres left for this one is an intriguing question. Came to the event with 7 sets of tyres for all 4 practice sessions, all 4 qualifying sessions and all 4 races, including the compulsory pit stops in each race. And Mark Larkin did a little synopsis on that on the whiteboard a little earlier. See Whincup just making sure that he was tight and covering. There's a move, Webb down the inside of Caruso. Did it cleanly, or at least to this point he has. There's not much in it. The problem with the nature of the racetrack is what looks like a great move at the previous corner can put you on the wrong side for the next one. So you've got to be quite strategic in how you pull those and be thinking ahead. It's like a Formula V race. You have to be a couple of corners down the road in your planning.
Look at this. that was very close with Jason Bright on Garth Tander then. He was probably up far enough. You've got to take those opportunities, and he didn't quite get that done, which made him vulnerable back to Rick Kelly. They had a great battle in the previous race. So Tander just slightly covers Bright. There's a bit of action going on behind there. Mark Winterbottom down the inside of Wall. And bang, there was always going to be contact with that. Tony D'Alberto in that respect just then, he could have just breathed off the throttle and would have made both cars got round there without that level of contact.
Now Coulthard's tightened up a little to the back of Whincup here. So it's Tander, Bright, Rick Kelly, Van Gisbergen, Winterbottom, Wall, Caruso, Webb. That's the 10. Here's Todd Kelly. He's 19th in the field at the moment. And look at this. So he's threatening at the moment, Coulthard. He's able to take the absolute ideal racing line where Jamie at the moment just has to run a little defensive. He was like this early in the previous race. Dipped and then recovered somewhat.
Good move.
Nice job, Fabian. Is he up the inside here? He's sliding. Can he make it hang on? No, it's exactly what I described a little moment ago, where the crisscross process can mitigate against you.
Now the long sweeping right-hander, so Whincup has the advantage line here.
And impressive to watch these two guys doing this stuff again without exchanging paint, or if they are, it's very light. Very light contact, if anything.
Ooh, he might be close enough to have a dive. He is. Get down there, Fabian. That was so close again.
Problem with that, when it doesn't work, it makes his corner exit speed off 20 a little slower than he'd like, but he's giving him a big run.
Garth Tander, the fastest around, but then that time beat by Mark Winterbottom and then Scott McLaughlin. So the youngest man in the field, the quickest at the moment, and turned around is the 360 Norton of James Moffat, who goes to the back of the grid.
Now remember, we've been talking through the early part of the year about the change in configuration of Dunlop tyres this year. We've gone to the 18-inch control room and obviously changed in the tyre bag to suit. And we know that a lot of people are running certainly very unusual cold starting pressures because these tyres build temperature and pressure as they go. That goes hand in hand. In the early laps of the races, some of them are running very, very low pressures, and even their final hot pressures are much lower than we've seen in years gone by.
Right, has another look on Tander. Rick Kelly and Shane Van Gisbergen will be in that picture too.
There's plenty
when it
going
starts
on.
to unfold. Kelly gives him a nudge. And another one.
Shane's up the inside. That's going to be messy.
Still messy.
Oh.
That was actually quite wild. The manoeuvre that Rick Kelly was trying to put on ended up falling back another position. And that really come from Jason Bright not getting the job done earlier. Back to field back. And now, Bright runs wide. He's off.
Oh, that's hurt. That's hurt. Oh, he's got to be careful with that stuff because that could be a dangerous re-entry, and he carts Rick Kelly all the way across the circuit in doing so. He might cop a little finger wave from Cam McConville on that one. Look at this, it's game on. Caruso up the inside trying to make it 3 wide there, off the road and wide.
He had to grab the
Jason
brake
Bright.
hard. Michael Caruso, he locked it up, heading up the hill. So Bright's in this mix with Wall and Webb.
Probably got away with that remarkably well, Jason Bright, because when he was that far wide at turn 20, you hold your breath that he's not going to end up just dropping to the back of this train. Fastest lap of the race, Jamie Whincup in the 34s now, 1 minute 34.9. He's 6 tenths further away now from Fabian Coulthard.
Davison down the inside. That was a last-minute manoeuvre. That was ugly.
And that was Alex Premer that he got.
And it was right at the end of the braking area, Matt. We just saw it right up in the corner of the screen. And you could hear the wheels locked and contact for those two cars. And there we go, there's Webb. Now that's also a card off. He's pushed David Wall off the road.
Steering damage on Will Davison's car. You heard all the tyre locking and squealing in the background. And look at that. Right rear is broken on that. Similar to what we saw with Scotty McLaughlin up at turn 1 yesterday. In fact, it's both ends. It's a disaster. So that's day done for Will Davison. Here's Shane Van Gisbergen up the inside of Garth Tander. That's for position 3. So that's a podium, but it's not done. Tander comes back. He's played this game before, And in fact, Van Gisbergen, just in the process of this, has done the fastest lap of the race.
Look at this. This is cool. Kelly and Winterbottom dicing behind them. Tander and Van Gisbergen, who was going to blink first?
Rick's well familiar with the signage on the inside wall of the pit straight at the moment. Look at this, and Winterbottom has a look down the inside. Oh, Rick closes down. We've got a safety car. Gone yellow on the timing. Rick Kelly's off to Cabo in Mexico with his wife Alicia at the end of all this. He's going to need a rest. He's done some wheel work this weekend, Rick Kelly.
That had the potential for catastrophe coming through there. That was wicked. So yellow flag.
Watch this.
Car, the car you need to pick up will be car one, just stand by.
Well, in fact, I think it looks worse from that angle, but this is the one that will raise eyebrows in race control, because Jason tried to cover. In the end, it was in vain. Rick was getting a walloping as well.
It actually helped him. He got a bump from Winterbottom, which pushed him forward, and McLaughlin parked. Just trying to pick where that is. It's a long way off the road. It would be hard to do that by yourself.
Broken steering is the report.
He was running just outside the top 10 at that stage, so that's a real shame for Scotty McLaughlin.
Peter's STP safety car stationary on the road there at the moment. That Chrysler just waiting for the field to come round, and we'll pick up the race leader, Jamie Whincup, who's just coming on to the pit straight. This car's up at the braking area of turn 1 on screen at the moment, and now is deployed and activated. There we go. So the car's heading in generally a southerly direction when they head down to turn 1. Up in the background there you can see the Austin International Airport. And right there is Scotty McLaughlin knee deep in gravel. That's a shame.
Tucked in behind that big observation tower that we saw there, Crompo, is the Austin 360 Amphitheatre. It's a really cool looking place, and they've got a lot of bands coming in there, so this is not just a racetrack. It's going to be a focal point for Austin's entertainment zone, which is the live music capital of the world. Dave Matthews band here tomorrow night. Mumford & Sons.
Yes.
Keith Irving coming here in August.
You told Mark Larkin?
Mark Larkin's going to be the support act. So down the back of there to the left-hand side, those big steel pipes that drape over the observation tower to replicate, if you like, the tail lights of the cars heading up to turn 1 at night. Just to the left there, a few thousand seat, 14,000 seat actually, capacity amphitheatre. Cool looking place. Maroon 5.
Well done.
Do you know any of those bands that I just mentioned aside
Yes.
from Keith Irving?
Yes, I do. Can you just rush down and tell Gary Van Egmond he might be interested in managing somebody else? I don't know how he got in there. Maybe it's had the steering failure before. I can't work out what corner it is. It's before the never-ending right-hander, isn't it?
So it's 15, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very strange for that to happen like that. And unfortunate for young Scott, who's done such a great job this year in his debut main game season.
The field is compressed here at Circuit of the Americas on lap 6 out of 27 on our final day at the Austin 400. We hope you've enjoyed it. Well, Scott McLaughlin has not enjoyed that ride into the gravel. His day is done. Steering failure, damage to the front of the Fujitsu Commodore.
That's had contact for sure. So let's have a look. Top of the screen is where we're focusing our attention. So this is Davison, who I saw do the big dive bomb move. He does that, fires off, and we heard the tyre squeals, and then look back, and there's the contact with Scott McLaughlin and Davison. So both cars actually with very similar damage, but from side to side. So here's Scott, just turning in, and bang. So that's the explanation for both those cars and the damage that they both incurred.
Yeah, just in the Pepsi Max crew bunker, and Tim Edwards just having a look at that replay. Tim, steering problems for Will, obviously.
Steering problem as a result of running into another car. So, yeah, obviously it's damaged both the front and rear suspension. So, obviously we've only got sort of partial footage that you've seen as well. So, it looks like he's dived down the inside and overshot a bit.
Right, get him straight in.
Well, he's out of the race. Both the front and rear suspension's damaged, so she's all over.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, and Brett's Wilbur has just jumped on the back of the golf cart, Larko.
Yeah, down here with Richard Holway, who was Scotty McLaughlin's engineer. And look, let's put aside the incident that just happened there, mate. It's a great year for Scott. And I know you personally, after working with Scaife in particular, must be refreshing working with McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. Yeah, no, he's a great young bloke. He has a go. It's, you know, it's really good working with him. Good feedback. Really enjoyable.
It's nice to just watch the dialogue or listen to the dialogue between you. We heard a little bit of it earlier today where he was having a little bit of a panic in amongst the traffic, and you said, mate, head down, that's what you're here for. And that's important, isn't it, mate? That tutorage, because the guy's got raw talent, and I think you're going to educate him well.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to knock that out of him, mate. You know, like it's great to see him make moves and have a go, and yeah, just keep that going. So, no, I reckon he's fantastic.
Good job, Rich. Keep it up.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Scaife, is Larko getting a ride back to the hotel with you tonight?
He won't be after
No,
that.
please, because he brings his CD collection when we have to take him home. Take a quick break. Be back soon.
So on board here with McLaughlin just creeping back into the pit lane, the car wounded right down the side of it, right down the left side. You can see the battle scars. It's not just the bodywork, it's mechanical as well, and there will be an investigation, no shock, post-race after the incident at turn 12. It was between Scotty McLaughlin and Will Davison, and well, Will will be the one that gets the rap over the knuckles, and it'll self-cancel because he's also been damaged in this. It'll just get adjudicated as being one of those things.
But as a championship contender, Neil, you can't make those sorts of mistakes. I mean, he's lost ground this weekend. Clearly, his qualifying for this particular race wasn't good enough. You're back too far in the field. But if you look at the season in totality, a weekend like this could cost you the championship.
The tide's gone out for Will this weekend, and at the end of the day yesterday in the twilight, you're sitting there with a massive headache. Car setup's not good. You can fix one end or the other, but not both ends for all 20 corners. And saw him early this morning on the way out to the circuit, and you can always tell when someone's got a pep in their step, and Will didn't. So the frustration stems there from not having the setup. They can't find their way to the ideal setup that they need to get the performance out of the car. So that'll be a big drop. That'll hurt him in this points challenge as we leave Austin and head to Darwin, Australia's top end in the Northern Territory. But it's all good news for Jamie Whincup at the moment. So Steve Robertson on the left there from V8 Supercars in consultation with Brad Jones. Both Brad, Roland Dane, Tim Edwards, all of the team principals have found themselves down at race control begging for mercy on occasion.
That's how it is, isn't it?
Either that or abusing anybody within a 20-metre radius. So sometimes it's better to be on the front foot.
You never would have done that, would you? Neil was a good boy when he was racing.
Oh, for sure.
Pity it didn't last.
Got a good memory.
So that's the scene at the moment. The Pepsi Max crew FPR Falcon of Will Davison being loaded onto the back of the truck after the big contact, which also saw Scott McLaughlin go out. So 2 DNFs we can put in this list.
We've got a compulsory pit stop to cycle through here as well. We've not yet reached that window, but this is preserving these tyres. It might see some people run longer now. They may not just jump in on lap 10, but that'll depend on whether they feel they're being held up and whether they can get an undercut advantage. But this will certainly give the tyres a reprieve. Gives a couple of drivers a little let off here if they've had an out-of-phase start to the race. Keeps Rick Kelly in touch here at the moment. There's also going to be a post-race investigation car. 17 cars, 17, it's plural, and 9. So that's Tim Blanchard, Murrow Engel. There's Jimmy Stone making a welcome return to the paddock. He's in there at Erebus Motorsport V8. Retired from participation in the full-time V8 Supercar Series, but we are seeing him on occasion in the Dunlop Development Series. It's always always good to have Jim in the paddock. He's a great character. Did some racing over here many moons ago.
He's got a great pedigree, and he and his brother Ross have had one of the most successful Ford factory teams. It's obviously converted now into Erebus with Mercedes. But one of the great things, guys, out of this, we said it was a bit of a contained first few laps. I thought they were pretty tame, especially on the opening lap, the first 4 cars. But wow, didn't it wind up? You know, and we know safety cars breed safety cars, so this will be very important because you want to be in the lead. You want to lead this race before the stop.
Turn 12 back to 80 and hold 80 and turn 12.
It's back on Jimmy Stone and his brother Ross. Stone Brothers Racing, of course, was exactly where Marcus Ambrose, who our speed viewers know so well, now competing in NASCAR, won his 2 V8 Supercar Championships in 2003 and 2004. He sent us a good message from Charlotte in yesterday's broadcast with that wicked-looking beard of his.
Yes.
Might send him some races.
Touch of the John Bowers about him, hasn't he, with the beard from Tasmania, and successful racer. So that it's Tim Schenken, the race director, in the background, but you've got to dip your hat to Marcus Ambrose to come from this.
Over the tunnel early, wait for my call of the safety car before you go.
From this form of racing to take on NASCAR and to do as well as he has, it's an extraordinary achievement. Congratulations to him. It's been a brilliant effort.
And his former teammate Russell Ingall paying tribute to that as well with the Stanley sponsorship on car 66. And look at Fabian Coulthard. Hello, Jamie, I'm here.
This is gamesmanship, guys.
There's a fair responsibility as the leader in the pack. You're under pressure.
He's gone. So he's tried one corner early to get that little gap. It's a very good restart by both of these guys. Garth Tander got caught a little bit. In fact, Van Gisbergen will be in contention to get Tander at the end of the straight. So good job by Whincup and Coulthard. Look at this, all the weaving.
It's Rick down the inside again, having to cover on the inside. So Tander, he's also shallow into turn 1. Van Gisbergen 4th, then Rick Kelly. Then it's Mark Winterbottom.
Van Gisbergen had good pace.
Remember that our leading 4 cars, the GM product, the Holden Commodore here, successfully exported. Oh, around goes
Big
Michael
spin.
Caruso. 360-degree spin. Gathers it back up. There'll be huge marks on those tyres.
It's turned itself off. When the car's run backwards, it's turned the engine off.
Might see another safety car as Rick Kelly. Oh, I reckon there was contact there with Mark Winterbottom. These 2 guys are having a little battle going on that's been raging since this final race started. So Whincup leads Coulthard, Tander and Van Gisbergen are going at it. Kelly and Winterbottom are bluing.
Tander having to cover there, and he's getting some rat-a-tat-tat on the rear bumper from Shane Van Gisbergen. Just making the point before the big incident that the Holden Commodore is successfully exported from Australia to the United States. It's a great program, and one of the reasons why the Holden racing team got the Aussie flag draped around the car, and now Tander sees the opportunity to come in and grab some tyres, Larko.
And look at that, I don't know if you just saw Tander behind. Look at these cars. This is this corner I was talking about. They're coming off the track behind me here, about 160k an hour, 65k at this last point there, and there's the 40k sign up there. Time to be made, as we said. Got to treat this like a corner.
That's Mark Larkham down at turn 19A.
Well done, Larko. That's a really good point. There's more time to be gained in that little section than in the previous section of the track that you explained before. It's okay, critical stop for Tander. He's up there and in contention. He'll get hurt here a little bit. He got hurt there a lot.
Tim Slade diving in, and Tander had to take evasive action.
There was contact right there with the SP Tools car.
Yeah, Murrow Engel and Jonathan Webb.
Jonathan Webb nudged into him as Engel was trying to enter
Lowndes
pit
is the
lane.
winner. Lowndes is the winner out of that, Matt. He's jumped a couple of spots up into right in behind. Lowndes was way back, so he's jumped right up.
Look at Engel, he's in no man's land here. He needed to back off and drop in behind Blanchard. He's gone to the wrong side of the floppy. That'll be an immediate penalty. He needed to come out of the throttle then and drop in, but he stayed with it.
Let him through.
There'll be a penalty for that for sure.
So back at the front. That's the gap from the leader back to Fabian Coulthard.
So more people dived in than I thought especially when they were so close together. Now Coulthard's taking the opportunity. What they'll be looking for here at Lockwood is the undercut, getting another decent set of tyres on the car. But it's also good news for Whincup because he's released.
Okay, should have seen Winterbottom. Winterbottom almost pied the fence then, coming into the pit where Mark Larkin was just standing. That's the spin. That was James Courtney into the back of Caruso. So there might be some action in all of that.
It's hard to adjudicate, and there's cameras in the cars, and so I think they're going to have a very busy evening here. Here's the man. It's peeled out. Pointy end of this race to get some more rubber on. They need a very efficient stop. It doesn't look like it wasn't a blinder. Wasn't good enough. They use light systems on the pit booms to determine when they get their cue to go.
Watch this rejoin, Croppo, because this is going to be close. They're coming up the hill going fast.
Meantime, Van Gisbergen's going quickly, and so is Whincup. So this is a big strategic game here.
Oh, I thought that Winterbottom might have ended up in between Tander and Lowndes, but he was just one back.
At least for Coulthard, he's in clear air at the moment. That'll serve him well on a fresh set of tyres. But there was the bobble in the pit lane, will have cost him some valuable time.
You're right, Scafie. The biggest winner out of all of that to this point is Craig Lowndes. He started this race in 12th. So that was Tander. He thought twice about taking on Tim Slade, and then watch when the Darrell Lee car comes out. Here he comes, Jonathan Webb. Murrow Engel comes in. And we'll go on board with Jamie Whincup because this is a critical stop for the race leader.
And they're covering.
Definitely saved the best for last at East Buffet.
So saving to the best for last is the call. So we'll go to Larko in a tick, but they're covering at Red Bull Racing to make sure that Coulthard doesn't get an advantage. Larko?
Okay, now we want to have a look at this stop. You remember I showed you Bridie's stop earlier on. Not to say it was wrong to use two guys, but you can see three here. Watch how efficient this is. Right, gun on, gun on. This guy grabs the wheel. He's the spare guy. Wheel on, bang, down, done.
It was a slow departure, but it looked like a more efficient wheel stop than Coulthard.
Here we go.
It'll be close. In fact, I reckon Fabian might be a chance to grab him here. It'll be very, very close.
Well, at least he's got warm tyres. You've got to get the flow. He hit the curb too hard. He hit the curb too hard, then it just hurt his exit a little bit.
But for Jamie, it is tricky because he's got tyres on the rear of the car that are not up to pressure. So Fabian's got to be surgical here. He's got to slice through any little gap that arrives or he'll be parked under the rear wing for the rest of the race.
And the critical spot is this one down here, guys. Look for turn 11. He's got to come onto this back straight right here now. He's got to have the run because turn 12 is his passing spot.
Trouble also here for another Jiu-Jitsu entry. That's got to be Prema.
Yeah, there was some smoke coming out of the back of that car along the main straightaway when these two resumed their battle. So from Jason Bright down to James Moffat, first through to 8th, they haven't pitted.
And Jamie's doing the right thing in that cockpit. He's driving shallow, driving tight, making sure there are no big, open, lazy gaps left anywhere. Rapidly, those rear tyres come up to temperature and pressure. And then once they normalise, he's got the same fighting position as Fabian, and then he's away. It already looks like it. So Webb's done the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 34.7 down in 15th, and there's still 5 drivers yet to take a stop.
Take a look in the background. When you come onto the straight, there will be a battle there. We saw Tander and Lowndes close. Van Gisbergen's come out of the pit and long between those. So Van Gisbergen will resume the battle that he had before the stop with Tander. He's got good speed at the end. He will be very aggressive.
3 more cars into the pit lane. Scott Pye, Lee Holdsworth. 34.4 fastest lap for David Wall on that last lap. Jason Bright's the leader of the race. We've seen evidence of him in the past and his team running long. Remember, he had a pretty rugged start to this race, a lot of pushing and shoving. He qualified well, but it was a bit ragged at the start, so he might use this opportunity if he's got car speed to stay out there.
It's a quick check at the leaderboard. Bright, Rick Kelly, Reynolds, Moffat. They will have to pit, remember, as Crompo said. The final stages.
So it's very interesting the battle between these two cars. We've seen them all weekend, and there's Van Gisbergen, good move, straight down the inside. The crisscross doesn't really work at that one, so Tander tried to come back the other way, but because the next corner goes to the right, goes never-endingly to the right.
It looked like Garth actually sidestepped him then, and maybe he felt that he was just under pressure and out of stride. And sometimes when you are out of stride, you're better off to let the other guy go and see how things unfold later in the race. He may have done that. Van Gisbergen was the fastest man to the second sector of the race. Now, Whincup on that new rear tyre combos just punched a 1 minute 34.2 for the fastest lap of the race. Rick Kelly's in the pit lane and it just rejoined. There he is. So he pops in behind Winterbottom and in front of Jonathan Webb. Cold tyres for him.
This is a pretty healthy battle. It's going to emerge from Van Gisbergen, Tander, Lowndes, Winterbottom, Kelly, Webb. A really good group of cars who are now going to battle this next 12 laps. Just see.
Courtney, fastest man to the first timing sector between turns 4 and 5 on this lap. So still to pit are Jason Bright, David Reynolds, James Moffat and Michael Caruso, who was unfortunately involved in that incident where he was rotated turn 2, 3.
Can't believe how much of that coupe was used.
Spoke to Richard Holway about that last night, engineer at Jiu-Jitsu Racing, and said, you know, it's not just a question of building components that take normal loads. You've got to take into account the abnormal loads for almost the exponential smashing that they see when they go across the curbs. It's incredible.
Winterbottom looks like he's struggling for pace a bit behind Craig Lowndes.
So here we are towards the final stages of the Austin 400 with 3 cars yet to pit. They are Jason Bright, Davey Reynolds and James Moffat. Your effective race leader has just done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.9 for Jamie Whincup.
And here's a replay of it. Passing move just a little earlier. Van Gisbergen down the inside nicely. Garth Tander left a little gap there. Didn't look like he quite had the pace. He may have let him go. Caruso's also in the list of people that needs to stop. He's down the order after the spin. There's Lee Holdsworth and Todd Kelly. Todd's just, I think there's not a corner on the car that hasn't seen some panel work so far this weekend for Todd. And a new fastest lap of the race, Jamie Whincup at 1:33.9. That's very quick. Taking a little of the pressure off. He's just eased out. Look, it's only half a car length, maybe a car length over Coulthard, but this battle continues.
And what's going to happen here is that Van Gisbergen's pace, he was the lap record holder from yesterday. He's going to go forward. He's moved away from Tander after that pass that we just saw, but Tander's going to be the cork in the bottle. These guys are all going to, Craig Lowndes especially is the guy that's got the job to do to get by Tander, but you can see there the group behind.
Coulthard's responding, fastest man to the second timing intermediate. That's just coming out of turn 15. We had a shot up there a moment ago. The man who came to this event, position 2 in our championship series, Will Davison, who only just joined us. And Will, out of the race, contact early on, lots of damage with Scott McLaughlin.
You're aware of the saying, if you build it, they will come? Well, if you bring the biff and barge and bash of Aussie V8 Supercars, they certainly do. More than 68,000 is our attendance figure over the 3 days of the Austin 400. Congratulations, Circuit of the Americas. Well done, V8 Supercars. And thank you, Austin, Texas.
And Matty, I've got to say, being down here in the pits, how fantastically enthusiastic the Texan audience are. When a car overtakes, they stand up and they cheer. When Scotty McLaughlin came back out onto the circuit from being in the garage, they gave him a huge round of applause. They get it and they like it. They're a great sporting crowd.
So Coulthard 33.9. I mentioned he's split to the second timing intermediate, so he's just eclipsed the time set by Jamie Whincup the lap earlier by a tiny, tiny margin. And Van Gisbergen, as Mark predicted earlier, is going on with this at the moment. He's fast on his sector splits as well.
Said he more than 68,000. The actual number, 68,891. What a success story.
So Bright, as I said a little earlier, often when he finds himself just boxed out of position, tends to make the decision with his guys, led by Andrew Edwards in there at the engineering group, to run long. He's doing that at the moment. He's got a margin of 8 seconds from David Reynolds, then James Moffat. So 3 cars at the top of the field to pit, and then further down we've got Michael Caruso in 12th yet to pit too.
Will Davison just back in the garage, and Will, that was a nasty tangle with Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, was it Scott, was it? Well, I wasn't sure. It was whoever it was. Yeah, it was my bad, my mistake. It's been a tough weekend for us, but in those opening laps, it was by far the best the cars felt, and we were all over Craig Lowndes, and I tried to pass Craig twice at turn 1, and then he made another mistake in front of me, and I was out-braking Craig down into turn 12, and obviously misjudged the braking a little bit, or I had to go quite narrow to pass Craig, and I locked the rear brakes, and whoever the car in front of him was, Scotty, I've hit him pretty hard, so he was innocent bystander, and I feel pretty bad, but what can you do? It's pretty crazy in the mid-pack, and yeah, very disappointing. Don't like making errors like that. Very, very costly, particularly in actually the car felt, as I said, good, so tough weekend.
Well, on to Darwin next, but first you're going to play spectator for a couple of days.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that. Not really at the moment. I'm kicking myself a lot. It's been a tough weekend, very costly. But yeah, we'll chill out for a few days. I just want to get to Darwin now to put this right.
Right, all the best, mate.
Thanks, cheers.
Yeah, it's a good pickup, because that incident, we saw Will Davison so far this year be so consistent and do a really good job. The lead Ford driver in the series, and that incident has a big bearing on this championship. Very costly.
So heading up to turn 1. Bright still the leader. Pit lane drive-through penalty. No surprise, Murrow Engel, because he was on the wrong side of the pit lane exit. I don't quite know why he stayed there and hung on in that battle with Tim Blanchard, but he did. He's now going to pay the price and get to tour pit lane and wave to his teammates. This is David Wall, who's 13th at the moment in the field.
He gets really good pace out of that car in burst, David Wall. Every time we reference the fastest times of the race, he's consistently featuring back to the front. Well, actually positions 4 and 5, but effectively 1 and 2, because Bright, Reynolds, Moffat are playing the longest game they can.
What I don't understand is we just got a shot there of Wall going down the inside of Caruso, but I don't know how Caruso can be in front of Courtney after spinning. Doesn't make any sense to me. He would have lost 10 spots easily.
Bright's in. So Jason Bright, after running that long game...
Caruso didn't come in.
That leaves David Reynolds in the lead of the race. And so Bright trying to maximise on the previous tyre set. Here he is. So they do all 4.
Yeah, and that's the thing you will notice, isn't it, Scapey? We haven't seen a lot of that this weekend. 4 tyres, and the good news for Brighty, they are 4 very good tyres. Done nothing more than a qualifying run. Had a look at them, they look beautiful.
Yeah, so 1 minute 33.6 now, new fastest lap of the race, Jamie Whincup. And mid-pack battles are huge. This one involves Scott Pye, Russell Ingall, Tim Slade. Dean Fiore's just the watching brief there at the moment. So 4 high-quality tyres have gone onto the Jason Bright car. They'll serve him well. And here he is. He's come out just in front of James Courtney. So 12th at the moment. 2 drivers to stop at the top of the field, Reynolds and Moffat. And constant exchange of quick sector splits and fast laps between Whincup and Coulthard. So Fabian's going with him. The only thing that isn't serving Fabian in this race is track position, and that's really as a result of the pit stop. But it's knife edge between those teams at the moment. Been a mystifying weekend for the guys in the VOC side of the garage, Brad Jones Racing. James Moffat incident is now come in. That leaves only one, certainly at the front of the field, that matters at the moment, who's yet to stop, and that's Dave Reynolds. He's really running long. Rears only for James.
Got a good stop.
pretty slippery on that concrete by comparison to the track surface itself. 1 or 2 battle wounds on that car. Here's Russell Ingall, and he's in 18th at the moment. He's got Tim Slade breathing on him. Tim Slade passing him.
Ingall sideways. He was right out sideways, then he was almost gone.
Some juicy mid-pack battles going on here as we take you uninterrupted now to the checkered flag of race 16 of the championship. David Reynolds leads the field on the timesheets and on the road, but he still have to do his compulsory pit stop. So it comes down to a battle between Whincup and Coulthard yet again. Look at this, Scott Pye with Russell Ingall rubbing paint. And then Russell says, how do you like that?
Welcome to the big lead, Scott. And that's Russell Ingall in full flight.
David Reynolds has now come into the pit lane, and that leaves Jamie Whincup back up in the lead of the race. Look at the intensity of this mid-pack battle. And Mark Beretta before was trying to get Will Davison to tell us what his plans are in the coming weeks. He didn't really answer the question, but he's going to spend time with his old friend Will Power, who yesterday qualified 6th for the 97th running of the Indianapolis 500. That'll be a thrill. They're great friends. He wants to go there and support him as Will tries to hunt up a win in the greatest of races. He's been a runner-up in that championship series the last 3 years, Will. So that's going to be a great weekend for him.
Yeah, Neil, speaking of some of our legends of Australian motorsport who have fanned out around the world, Chad Reed here in the garage here, our motocross world champ. Chad, great to see you here, mate. Racing last night, got in Sacramento and made it here today to be with the boys.
Yeah, I made a prior commitment a couple of weeks ago. I actually got a chance to came out, drive the car here at MotoGP weekend, and had a blast. So raced yesterday, and it's obviously tough to take a red eye, but it's worth it when you get here.
It's great to see you here. Now, your season, you're just coming to a busy phase.
Yeah, we just started our first round of our nationals yesterday, and you know, so we're one round of 12 deep now, and yeah, hopefully this series is going to be a little better to me. The Supercross was tough, but outdoors didn't start any better for me, so it's going to be a rough year, but you know, we'll grind away.
Fingers crossed, mate. All the very best. It's great to see guys like you, Australians, out there doing your best on the world stage. Awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And actually, it's quite weird to be here in my country where I live now and have all you Australians here. So it's actually it's quite exciting for me to see V8 Supercars in the US.
Well, enjoy it, Chad. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, thanks.
He's a real legend. Staggering results. He does some amazing things on 2 wheels. James Courtney's going to spend some private time with him after this race meeting as well. Now, Michael Caruso and Chaz Mostert, they are in quite an exchange here at the moment. Caruso 13th. Mostert 14th, Dave Reynolds 15th after his pit stop. 1.4 seconds is the gap. Whincup to Coulthard, then Van Gisbergen still carrying that good pace. Tander's hanging on from Lowndes. Got a very good exit then, Chaz Mostert, off turn 19. He's trying to convert that in the run out of the final corner because he knows that the Nissan might be a little vulnerable here in a straight line. So Michael dives to the inside. David Reynolds sees a big gap open up in the middle.
And disappeared just as quick.
This is where it's hard because you can't keep an eye on everybody in your mirrors when all that's going on. So Reynolds gets a gain here, so does Mostert. Oh, there's a problem, I think, for Caruso. He didn't come off the hill properly at all.
Because he hasn't stopped, he's basically pulled himself out of that dice. So he's the last car still not to have made that stop after the spin we saw in this complex.
I'm surprised that he didn't end up carrying more tyre damage as a result of that big spin.
It was fast, wasn't it? So Whincup, Coulthard, Van Gisbergen, Tander, Lowndes, Winterbottom, Kelly, Webb, Bright, Courtney. That's your top 10.
The reason why it was right when all that was going on, Caruso just got the call to come in, so it corresponds with exactly what you just said, Mark. So he knew there's no point really sort of going on with that because after he does the stop, he's going to drop a heap of spots.
Looking out the rear of David Reynolds now, we're looking out the front. You'll see on the side, car 360 of James Moffat right on board to catch that action and that move from James up to 14.
Looks very good in the middle of that corner, doesn't it? The car had great mid-corner speed. Moffat now searching for Chaz Mostert. So Moffat in 14th. Chaz Mostert just up ahead. We're with Davey Reynolds in 15th position in the Bottle Falcon.
That big, high-intensity segment in the middle of the race where Whincup and Coulthard were trading fastest sector splits and fastest laps of the race. It's eased off now. And Whincup has just gone out to a 2.1 second lead over Fabian Coulthard. So for the moment, that gap is just beginning to extend. Here's Garth Tander, he's 4th. Lowndes, Red Bull Racing Australia 5th. Then it's Winterbottom 6th. Then Rick Kelly hanging on in 7th. On target for another top 10 result. Jonathan Webb, Darrell Lee Chocolates in the background. And then Jason Bright, James Courtney. Sorry, mate.
I thought that Garth was going to be the guy that would struggle in that group, but it's actually hung on quite well. Jason Bright now with really good tyres on that car coming through the field. And I thought he had that done, then he probably could have turned across. So done the crisscross now, but remember the next corner goes to the right.
And he's probably done the mature thing there rather than slice and dice. He's just been a bit patient. That's cost him and hold him up for this chunk of the lap. He's got those fresher tyres on, and that will mean that he's got much better mid-corner speed and certainly much better traction in the second gear corners. Oh, look, Webby runs super wide at turn 19 out in the AstroTurf, so that was just a gift for Jason Bright. So he steals the spot.
3 lap.
And that brings him up into 8th position, Jason Bright. Still been an unhappy weekend for him, considering the pace he had in Western Australia last time out.
Big lock-up.
Look at him. He's pushing the brake pedal on and off to try and modulate, deal with it. He's dropped the spot and he will have marked the tyre. He's going to hang on the inside here. This is crazy stuff.
I love that stuff. And Jonathan Webb actually come out of the throttle, and that was quite smart. He knows that Bright has got fresher tyres. He knows the speed that Bright has got at the moment is superior to his. And he just come out of the throttle to make sure that he could get across and no contact as they went into that one-lane complex.
And he will remember what happened in race 13 yesterday when they're all newbies and decided that it might be feasible to be 2 and 3 wide on the run down through there. And they all found out in a real hurry that all that ends up happening is you visit the boonies at very high speed. So he backed away from that. The question here is whether or not there's any damage on Jason's tyre. It looks like it might be okay at the moment. The reason why there was the sort of on-off smoke signals coming from Jason Bright's car is he's modulating the brake pedal, which means he's going on and off, on and off, on and off. So trying to do 2 things, stop the car, but also release the locked wheel at the same time. Didn't do a bad job of it, because when the wheel's locked, you can't make the car change direction. And that's what the automated function of anti-lock braking, or ABS, does in our road cars. It protects us from some average driving on occasions.
It's Vince Young Jr. stepping up to the plate there for the duties of the checkered flag.
He's getting a lesson from Damian White.
The quarterback with the Philadelphia Eagles. As I mentioned before, graduate of the University of Texas. We also said that it's graduation weekend this weekend, so Austin's been a busy town. And a big blow for James Moffat on approach to turn 1.
Great situational awareness, Chaz Mostert. He saw him coming. He turned the steering wheel down the other way, opened the gap and avoided an accident. Smart move. That was big. We've seen a few of them up there, haven't we?
We have. We're going to see some more action here. This is not over.
Bright's just done the fastest sector split through the first sector of the racetrack. Turn 5. And he's hunting down Rick Kelly at the moment. He's got just a little over 1.5 seconds. So they renew their battle from the previous race.
Yes, they do.
Look at this. Mostert again having a go with James Moffat.
I love this. It's almost like Chaz knows we're on board with him. Because every time we switch the camera to the cockpit, he decides to get the elbows out.
You see him flat shifting there, pulling the 6-speed sequential gearbox. The Albans unit, where there's a transaxle, that's a differential and gearbox all as one unit behind the driver. A little bit of heel and toe, brake, little blip at the throttle and downshift. We go back to our leader, Jason Bright, meantime, fastest lap of the race, new lap record in the process, a 1:35.3. Jamie Whincup's got a 2.9 second lead, Matty.
33.5. 35.3.
You've had a own rides.
This man's had a great weekend, though. Been on the podium all the way. He's just been unstoppable. When he gets into this kind of groove, he is so hard to catch. It's a masterclass often when Jamie Whincup's behind the wheel. It's been that way for quite a few years. Defending series champ, going for 3 on the trot and 5 overall championships. He's racking up the numbers, as we said. This will be win number 70 for his career in just 283 races. Incredible strike rate. He makes it look so easy. He's had ultimate pressure from Fabian Coulthard. Shane Van Gisbergen will step on the podium for the first time this weekend. But at the end of 400 kilometres, 248 miles, that's a Texan triple for Jamie Whincup.
Number 1, Jesse. First year, great stuff, guys and girls. Awesome.
3 out of 4.
Sorry, brother. Sorry about race 3. I do believe we don't need tread depth on these tyres. Just watch the engine temp and like the fires, box the tyres, brother.
Marked up signals to Jamie. Smoke it up and celebrate.
End margin 2.7 seconds. It's still very quick at the end there for Whincup and Coulthard. They were still well and truly in the 34s. Turns out when you look at the lap speed that Jason Bright had on those new tyres when he's punched that 33.5, it might have got onto them earlier and got a little bit more out of them.
That's what I thought. So it was probably a little bit late, that call. He did do a really good job. He got Rick Kelly at the end there, and to get to 7th position was a good fight back, but he struggled all weekend for pace. Good drive. James Courtney starting 18th, he got to 10th. But this battle all weekend with Whincup and Coulthard has been very, very good.
So 3 poles and 3 victories at a track where nobody had been to. Here we go. No wonder he's very good at that circle work. He's been able to do it a lot over the years. 70 race wins.
He wasn't that good early. Remember, he crashed at Simmons Plains when he did it.
Well, I was talking to him at the time. So great to see Shane Van Gisbergen on the podium. Garth Tander in 4th. Good run. The HRT pilot car number 2. Jonathan Webb and James Courtney making up our top 10. Chaz Mostert, we were riding with him as he bumped his way through the field yet again. 15th for Chaz. Another impressive performance. And a difficult weekend for Will Davison. He was heartbroken after making that mistake and ploughing into Scott McLaughlin. So they were your 2 DNFs. Yes, we do. Especially the people of Austin, Texas, and Circuit of the Americas. You made us feel very welcome. And for Jamie Whincup, well, there's no doubt this guy will want to come back.
He's got a fair international pedigree with it, hasn't he? His win strike rate is extraordinary, and the celebration is very much deserved. Very much deserved. Great drive.
Moretz is down there as Jamie just celebrates with the team first. Remember, he managed to flick that door open to get a gulp of fresh air in qualifying. That was very funny, but it just shows you how much of a hard weekend it's been. He'd do anything to cool down, even risk giving away pole position.
Different helmet vent on the top of the helmet today. Talking about fresh air, he made a little mod to that last night just to make sure that he could get as much driver comfort as possible. It certainly served him well.
Well, he celebrated with the team. Now he'll celebrate with us, Jamie. Congratulations. If there's an international champion of V8 Supercars, mate, you are it. Well done. Don't we love Texas?
Yeah, it's not getting any cooler, that's for sure, Brett. But hey, I couldn't be happier right now. Hey, big thanks to everyone for coming out. all the Australians that flew over, obviously all the locals. Unbelievable event. Yeah, big thanks to all the crew at Red Bull Racing. They did a phenomenal job, and we'll take this one and run.
It's a great unknown coming here. It always was, but the track, the car, everything just clicked here.
Yeah, it's a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art place, you know, and love good quality places, and yeah, it means a little bit more to get that first win. So fingers crossed we can come back here for years to come.
Jamie, congratulations. You're in the record books. Well done. A magnificent weekend too for Fabian Coulthard and Shane Van Gisbergen. Fabian, to you first. Well done. It's been a magnificent weekend of duelling for you with Jamie Whincup. He got you this time.
Yeah, look, you know, the car's fast. You know, the thing you suffer from being the car behind, everything gets hot and things like that. So, you know, I didn't have the car speed. My opportunity was when he was coming out of the pits, and I missed it. So, you know, credit to those boys. You know, done a fantastic job. Like Jamie said, you know, thanks to all the crowd. They've done awesome. Everyone that's followed us from Australia and even as far as New Zealand's been awesome. So, just like to thank our sponsors, Lockwood, you know, all the guys at BJR, even the guys back at work that don't get to come away. It's been a pretty good weekend.
And now for you, most importantly, on to Darwin, who are a sponsor of yours already, so you'll almost be on home ground.
Yeah, look, it's going to be awesome. So hopefully get in a spot of fishing and things like that as we get along. But yeah, it's awesome to have the Northern Territory on board, and yeah, look, hopefully we can do what we've done here in Darwin.
Well done, Fabian. Should be very proud of your weekend. Congratulations.
Cheers.
And Shane Van Gisbergen, it's taken all weekend to get it done. You've fought hard and you've got on the podium. Well done.
Yeah, we started with a DNF, which was a bit of a shame, but that race was awesome. Plenty of passing and plenty of action. It was great.
You've enjoyed the circuit here?
Oh, it's been a great trip, but sorry to Andrew and Simon back at home. Sorry they can't make it, but it's all good.
Excellent, mate. Congratulations. Enjoy the podium.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, we'll just grab a chat down here with the Holden Racing team, boys. I'm sorry to interrupt there, James. Hey, position 4 for Garth, position 10 for you. Give us the Texan wrap, mate. This has been pretty good for the team.
We're only happy when we're winning, but you know, today qualifying, the second one was a bit of a nightmare for me. We qualified 18th, so it was a good run for the 22 car to get back to 10th. You know, we just haven't got the pace to run with the other guys. They can just take it up an extra gear, but yeah, we're sniffing around, and on a good day we can maybe pick up the bottom of the podium or a 4 or a 5th. So we've still got work to do. You know, we're still getting our head around the car and the independent rear end and all that sort of stuff. We've got a lot of updates coming. So yeah, all in all, it's not too bad a weekend. It's definitely not where HRT, myself, Garth, everyone here wants to be. We want to be winning. So we'll get there, everyone.
I know it's going to interfere with your holiday plans, but I just want to talk about the racing a bit more, mate. Where do you really think this track and this heat, when you combine the two, rate in terms of toughness on our circuit back in Australia?
Well, Garth and I both agreed it was probably as hard as Homebush yesterday. Just with this format as well, it's crazy how quick, it's only 35 minutes or something. So, the footballers have a game and then they've got a week off before they do anything. And we're back-to-back each day with 35 minutes in between and then do it again the next day. So, not only is it crazy hard on us, physically, but on the boys as well. For them to turn the cars around, it's pretty tight. So, hat goes off to the boys. They did an unbelievable job this weekend. Nothing went wrong with the car. But yeah, we're just going to get some more speed out of the thing, like
Right, mate, well, you've got the Texan suntan on. You've been here for 3 weeks. Just quick, give us a wrap of the experience, mate. What do you got to say?
Unbelievable. I don't know if I'm going to go home. It's, we went out on Austin Lake. It was unbelievable. So nice. It's beautiful here. If you haven't come this year, you've got to buy a ticket and make sure you come next year, because it's like Australia and America. It's not that crazy American. It's more Australian than American here.
And quickly, your Texan phrase?
Y'all. I don't know. I'm fixing to eat. I'm hungry, y'all.
Well done, Larko. Well done, James Courtney. I could not find anybody here who has had a bad time watching this race or getting out in Austin City. So championship-wise, what does it all mean? Jamie Whincup now 142 points clear of his teammate Craig Lowndes. You remember that Will Davison was second coming into the weekend, so Will has dropped down a spot. And Shane Van Gisbergen just keeps moving quietly through that top 10 list with top 10 performances. But today he is on the podium, which is where we're going to head for the final trophy presentation.
Race 16, 2013 V8 Supercars, Austin 400. Would you please congratulate our winning driver in first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In second place for Lockwood Racing, Fabian Coulthard. And in third place for Techno Team VIP, Shane Van Gisbergen. Representing the winning team, Red Bull Racing Australia, is Mark Dutton. And making the presentation of the third place trophy is Eduardo Margain, Circuit of America's Guest of Honour. Making the presentation of our second place trophy is John Bolender, Circuit of America's Guest of Honour. Making the presentation to our winning team is Jim Crowley, Head of Operations, ISIS. And presenting the first place trophy is Philip Berber, Circuit of the Americas Guest of Honour. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 V8 Supercars Austin 400 Race 16 winners.
Quite an extraordinary run from Jamie Whincup to turn up at a circuit that he's never seen, same as everybody else, and provide a weekend of domination and champagne spray.